A woman in a $12,000 wedding dress burst through the doors of the most dangerous nightclub in Miami, holding a gun she barely knew how to use. Her hands shook. Her veil was torn. Blood stained the white silk. Not hers. Behind her, men were coming. Dangerous men. Men who would drag her back to a marriage that was really a death sentence. Inside the club, music stopped. Heads turned. And in the VIP section, the most feared man in the city looked up from his whiskey. Park Ji-hoon, the Shadow King. The Korean Mafia boss who controlled half of Miami and hadn't smiled in 8 years. She pointed the gun at him with trembling hands. "Help me disappear," she demanded, "or I'll tell the FBI everything I know about your operations." The club went silent. Ji-hoon's men reached for their weapons. But then something impossible happened. Park Ji-hoon, the man who'd watched his brother die in his arms, who'd built an empire on fear and blood, who people said had a frozen heart. He laughed. A real laugh. Deep and genuine. Because this woman, this terrified, desperate, brilliant woman, had just walked into the lion's den and tried to negotiate with a stolen gun and a law degree. What she didn't know was that by morning, she wouldn't just be running from her past. She'd be building an empire, and the man who never smiled would never stop smiling at her again. Before we go back to how it all started, let us know where you're watching from, and if you believe in second chances and dangerous love, hit subscribe. 28-year-old Amara Okonkwo stood in front of a full-length mirror in a Johannesburg hotel suite, staring at a woman she didn't recognize. The wedding dress was exquisite, French silk, hand-beaded with Swarovski crystals, worth more than most people earned in 5 years. It was also a cage. Behind her reflection, her father, David Okonkwo, stood watching with guilt written across his face. David was one of South Africa's most powerful diamond merchants, billionaire, political fixer, a man who'd built his fortune from the mines of Kimberley to the trading floors of London. And now, he was selling his daughter. "You look beautiful, Nkwenkwe Yam," he said quietly in Xhosa. "My daughter." "I look like merchandise being delivered," Amara replied, her voice hollow. David flinched. "Amara, please understand." "Understand what? That you're trading me to Dmitry Volkov like I'm one of your diamonds?" Her voice cracked. "I'm your daughter, not inventory." "It's more complicated." "Is it?" Amara spun to face him. She was her father's daughter, brilliant, fierce, Columbia law educated. Dmitry Volkov is a monster. Everyone knows it. He's 42 years old, and this is his 4th marriage. What happened to the other 3 wives, Papa? David couldn't meet her eyes. "They're dead," Amara continued, her voice dropping to a whisper. "All 3. Convenient accidents. And you're giving me to him anyway." "The alliance is necessary. The Volkov family controls the European distribution. I don't care what they control." Amara's composure shattered. "I graduated summa cum laude from Columbia. I speak 6 languages. I've consulted for the UN, and you're using me as a business card. You'll have protection, security, a luxurious life. I'll have a coffin." Tears streamed down her face. "You're my father. You're supposed to protect me." David's own eyes filled with tears. "I am protecting you. The Volkov family threatened to..." He stopped. "Threatened what?" "It doesn't matter. The wedding is tonight. Everything is arranged." He left before she could argue further. Amara stood alone in her wedding dress, feeling the walls close in. She'd been preparing for this moment since the day her father told her about the arrangement. 4 months ago. In those 4 months, Amara had been busy. She'd used her legal network to investigate the Volkov family's operations. What she discovered was horrifying. Arms trafficking, money laundering, contract killings, human trafficking rings across Eastern Europe. Dmitry Volkov wasn't just a wealthy Russian oligarch. He was a war criminal, hiding behind luxury and political connections. And tonight, Amara was supposed to become his property. not if she had anything to say about it. The wedding took place at the Volkov family's estate outside Johannesburg. Over 400 guests, ministers, ambassadors, crime bosses dressed in Armani, everyone who mattered in South African and Russian power circles. Amara walked down the aisle on her father's arm, her face a perfect mask. At the altar stood Dmitry Volkov, tall, silver-haired, distinguished-looking, expensive Italian suit, and eyes like a shark, dead and hungry. When Amara reached the altar, Dmitry took her hand. His grip was iron, ownership. "You are exquisite," he whispered in Russian. "And now, you belong to me." The ceremony was elaborate, bilingual, English and Russian, traditional Orthodox elements mixed with African customs. Amara said her vows like an automaton. Dmitry said his like a man who'd just purchased a prize racehorse. When the priest said, "You may kiss the bride," Dmitry's kiss was brutal, marking territory. Amara tasted blood from her own lip. At the reception, Dmitry kept Amara at his side like a trophy. His hand on her waist was a chain. "Smile, wife," he commanded in English. "Show everyone how happy you are." She smiled, the perfect bride. But inside, she was counting minutes. Hours crawled by. Dinner, toasts, dancing with people who knew exactly what kind of man Dmitry was and didn't care. Finally, Dmitry leaned close. "Enough pretending. We leave now for the suite." The way he said suite made it sound like cell. "I need the restroom first," Amara said. "Don't take long. I've been patient enough." Amara walked to the bathroom, Dmitry's guards following 15 feet behind. Inside, she locked the door and looked at her reflection. This was her moment, her only chance. She'd planned meticulously. Under her wedding dress, she wore leggings and athletic shoes. In the bathroom ceiling, hidden 3 days ago during the rehearsal, was her escape bag. She climbed onto the marble sink, pushed open the ceiling panel, and pulled down the waterproof bag. Inside, South African passport, cash in 3 currencies, burner phone, credit cards under a false name, and her father's handgun, stolen from his safe 2 months ago. Amara stripped off the elaborate wedding dress, revealing the practical clothes underneath. She stuffed the dress into the trash compactor, then she climbed out the bathroom window. The drop was 8 feet onto landscaping. She landed hard, rolled, kept moving. Behind her, shouting. They'd discovered her escape. Amara ran through the Johannesburg night in her wedding slip and running shoes, looking completely insane. She didn't care. She flagged down a taxi. "Airport, international terminal. I'll pay triple fare." The driver, seeing her desperation and the stack of bills she waved, drove like he was in a car chase. At the airport, Amara bought a ticket to Miami on the next available flight. She used one of her prepared fake identities, Isabella Santos, Brazilian businesswoman. As her plane took off, Amara watched Johannesburg disappear below. She was leaving everything. Her family, her name, her entire life. But she was alive, for now. Park Ji-hoon sat in the VIP section of the Phoenix Lounge, the most exclusive nightclub in Miami's design district, watching his kingdom with hollow eyes. The club was packed. EDM pounded. Beautiful people danced under laser lights and artificial fog. Ji-hoon felt absolutely nothing. He was 36 years old, dangerously handsome, Korean American, second generation, born in Miami to parents who'd immigrated with nothing and built a restaurant empire. Until rival gang members burned down their restaurants with his younger brother trapped inside. Ji-hoon had been 17. His brother Minho was only 12. Ji-hoon had tried to save him, ran into the burning building, found Minho trapped under a collapsed beam. Minho had looked up at him with trust. "Hyung, you'll get me out, right?" "Always," Ji-hoon had promised. But the fire moved too fast. The building collapsed. Ji-hoon barely escaped. Min-ho didn't. That was 19 years ago. Now Ji-hoon controlled the very territory where his family had been destroyed. He'd built his empire with calculated violence and brilliant strategy. At 25, he'd taken over the Korean syndicate. At 30, he'd expanded into real estate, shipping, and technology. Now, at 36, he was one of Miami's most powerful underground figures. They called him the Shadow King because he operated in complete darkness, never raised his voice, never showed weakness, never smiled, not for 8 years. Not since the last time something actually mattered to him. His right hand, Jae-sung, approached the VIP table with a tablet. "Boss, the shipment from Sao Paulo cleared customs. Everything's clean." Ji-hoon nodded without looking up from his whiskey. "Also, the city council vote went our way. The waterfront development is approved." Another nod. Jae-sung hesitated. "Boss, you need to sleep. You've been up for 48 hours. "I'm fine." "When did you last eat?" "I ate." "When did you last feel anything?" Ji-hoon finally looked at him. His eyes were empty. "What's the point?" Jae-sung had no answer. That's when the main entrance doors slammed open. A woman in a wedding dress burst in, wild-eyed, bleeding from a cut on her arm, holding a gun. Security moved to intercept. But something made Ji-hoon raise his hand. "Wait!" The woman scanned the club frantically, then her eyes locked on Ji-hoon's VIP section. She walked straight toward him through the stunned crowd, past security, like she owned the entire building. When she reached the velvet rope, she pointed the gun at him with trembling hands. "You're Park Ji-hoon," she said. A statement, not a question. "I am. I need you to make me disappear, tonight, right now." Ji-hoon studied her carefully. African. Stunning even with terror in her eyes. Wedding dress. Expensive. Custom. Blood on the silk. Defensive wound. Not arterial. Gun. Glock 19 held incorrectly. Safety probably still on. Amateur playing a dangerous game. "And why?" Ji-hoon said calmly. "Would I do that?" "Because I have information about the Volkov family, their operations in 12 countries, their connections to arms dealers, politicians, oligarchs. I'll give you everything, every detail, every weakness, every dirty secret." In exchange for? A new identity, protection, passage to somewhere safe. Ji-hoon leaned back. "You're asking me to declare war on Dmitry Volkov. I'm giving you the weapons to win one." The club had gone completely silent, everyone watching. Then, for the first time in 8 years, Park Ji-hoon laughed. A real laugh, deep and genuine and shocked. His men stared. Some had never heard him laugh at all. "Lower the gun," Ji-hoon said, still smiling. "Before you shoot yourself in the foot. The safety's still on." Amara looked at the gun, saw he was right, and lowered it with a frustrated sound. "Sit," Ji-hoon commanded, gesturing to the seat across from him. She sat stiffly. He poured her expensive vodka. "Drink. You look like you need it." She drank, coughed. "I don't usually, I can tell. You hold a gun like a lawyer and threaten like a novice." He smiled again. It felt strange on his face. "I like you. What's your name? Does it matter?" "If I'm going to protect you, yes." She hesitated. "Amara Okonkwo." "David Okonkwo's daughter?" Her eyes widened. "You know my father?" "I know of him. Diamond trade? Political connections? Why would he give you to Dmitry Volkov?" "Business alliance. I'm the collateral." Ji-hoon nodded slowly. "And this information about the Volkov operations?" "I spent 4 months preparing to run. I'm a lawyer, Columbia law. I used every resource I had to gather intelligence on Dmitry. Financial records, communication intercepts, witness statements, everything. Why? Because I knew I couldn't just run. I needed leverage. I needed something valuable to offer someone powerful enough to stand against the Volkovs. Jihoon's smile widened. You're smart. I'm desperate. Smart and desperate is a dangerous combination. He stood. Come with me. We'll talk somewhere private. Jae-sung tensed. Boss, if she wanted me dead, she would have pulled the trigger already. Jihoon looked at Amara. Correct? Correct. They went to Jihoon's private penthouse office above the club. It was stunning. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Biscayne Bay, modern Korean art, minimalist furniture, a space that reflected power and emptiness in equal measure. Sit, Jihoon said. Amara sat on the sleek leather couch. Jihoon poured himself whiskey. Tell me everything. For 3 hours, Amara laid out everything she knew about the Volkov family, their smuggling routes, their money laundering schemes, their political contacts, their weaknesses. Jihoon listened without interrupting, his analytical mind cataloging every detail. When she finished, he said, You're not just running from Dmitri, you're trying to destroy him. Wouldn't you, if someone tried to own you like property? I have been owned by grief, by revenge, by obligation. I understand the need to break free. Then help me. I will, but not just to hide you. What do you mean? You're Columbia law. You speak 6 languages. You understand international business, legal frameworks, political systems. You know how to navigate corporate structures and diplomatic channels. So I don't need someone to hide. I need someone like you, someone who can legitimize my operations, structure my businesses properly, navigate the legal complexities I face every day. Amara stared at him. You want me to work for you? With me. Partnership, not employment. I'm not a criminal. Neither am I. I'm a businessman operating in gray areas. You're a mob boss. Semantics. Jihoon's smile was predatory now. I'm offering you a choice. Option 1. I give you a new identity, move you to Europe or Asia. You'll be safe but alone, always looking over your shoulder. Or you stay. You work with me. You use your brilliant legal mind. You help me build something bigger than either of us. And in return, you have complete protection, unlimited resources, and real purpose. You're asking me to join your organization. I'm asking you to become my partner, my legal strategist, my business architect, someone I can trust to operate in the legitimate world while I handle the shadows. Amara laughed, bitter, exhausted. I escaped one cage and walked right into another. No, Dmitri Volkov wanted to own you like livestock. I'm offering you power. There's a fundamental difference. She studied him. This dangerous man who'd laughed when she threatened him, who smiled when he looked at her, who spoke to her like an equal, not property. If I say yes, Amara said carefully, I need guarantees, protection, autonomy. I need to know that you won't. Won't what? Control you? Manipulate you? Treat you like Dmitri would have? Jihoon leaned forward intensely. I don't need you controlled, Amara. I need you sharp, independent, powerful. You're useless to me, broken. She wanted desperately to believe him. Give me 24 hours, Amara said. Let me think clearly. Fair. Jae-sung will take you to a secure apartment. Rest. Think. Decide. As Amara stood to leave, Jihoon said, One more thing. What? Welcome to Miami. For the first time since running, Amara felt a flicker of hope. Part 3. The partnership ignites. 40 cause. 100 cause. Amara woke in a luxury penthouse she didn't remember entering. Sunlight poured through massive windows overlooking the ocean. The bed was enormous, Everything was pristine white and chrome. For a moment, she forgot where she was. Then memory crashed back. The wedding, the escape, the club, Ji-hoon. She sat up and found new designer clothes laid out, her exact size. A note beside them in precise handwriting. Breakfast at 11 a.m. Don't be late. TPJ. Amara showered, dressed, and found her way to the open-plan kitchen. Ji-hoon stood at the marble island, reading multiple tablets simultaneously, drinking espresso. He looked different in morning light, less intimidating, almost approachable. Almost. "Good morning," he said without looking up. "Morning. Sleep well?" "Better than I expected given I was held at gunpoint yesterday." She stopped. "Wait, I held you at gunpoint." Ji-hoon laughed. That sound again. "Yes, best introduction I've ever had. Glad I could amuse you. Coffee or tea?" "Coffee. Strong." He poured her a cup of what smelled like very expensive espresso. They sat in surprisingly comfortable silence. Finally, Amara said, "I'll do it. I'll work with you." Ji-hoon's smile was genuine. "Excellent. Let's begin." Over the next month, Amara proved her extraordinary value. She restructured Ji-hoon's entire operation, created bulletproof corporate shields, established legitimate business fronts that could withstand any legal scrutiny, set up intricate offshore networks, designed legal protections he'd never imagined. She was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Ji-hoon watched her work with growing admiration and something else he couldn't quite name. But their partnership faced immediate challenges. Dmitry Volkov had tracked her to Miami. He started attacking Ji-hoon's interests: warehouse explosions, shipment seizures, cyber attacks on Ji-hoon's financial systems. "He's trying to force you to return me," Amara said during an emergency meeting. "Will you?" Amara asked quietly. Ji-hoon looked at her like she'd lost her mind. "No, never. We end this. Now." "I have a plan." Amara's plan was elegant and ruthless. She would use the intelligence she'd gathered about Dmitry, but she needed her father's cooperation. "My father has access to the Volkov family's secure communications. If I can convince him to help, we can extract their financial records. Prove Dmitry has been embezzling from his own family for years. The Volkovs are old-school Russian mafia. They'll handle betrayal internally and permanently." "Will your father help?" "I don't know, but I have to try." The conversation with David Okonkwo was painful. "You want me to betray the Volkovs?" David said over the encrypted video call. "They'll kill our entire family." "They'll kill me anyway, Papa. You know Dmitry. I wouldn't have survived 6 months." David's face crumbled. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Nkwenkweyam. I was afraid. They threatened your brothers, said they'd kill everyone I love unless I cooperated. So help me now. Help me destroy them so they can never threaten anyone again." David looked at his daughter, strong, brilliant, alive, and made his choice. "Tell me what you need." With David's help, they extracted damning evidence. Dmitry had been stealing from the Volkov family for over a decade, tens of millions of euros, hidden accounts, falsified reports. He'd been funding a separate operation they knew nothing about. Amara leaked the information directly to Dmitry's uncle, Mikhail Volkov, the actual head of the family. Within 72 hours, Dmitry was summoned back to Moscow. He never returned from that trip. Official story, heart attack, everyone knew better. Amara had won. After Dmitry's elimination, something shifted between Amara and Ji-hoon. They'd started as business allies, became strategic partners. Now there was something else humming between them. One night, working late in Ji-hoon's office reviewing contracts, Amara asked, "Why did you laugh that night, when I burst in holding that gun?" Ji-hoon looked up from his laptop. "Because you reminded me that surprise still existed. I'd become so numb to everything, every day the same. Then you appeared, terrified, desperate, brilliant, and demanded I help you at gunpoint. It was absurd, brave, completely human. I wasn't trying to be absurd. I know. That's what made it perfect. His smile was soft now. You made me feel something. I hadn't felt anything in 8 years. Why 8 years? The smile died. That's when my brother died. I'm sorry. It was my fault. Amara set down her tablet. What happened? Jihoon was quiet for a long time. Then he told her everything. About the restaurant fire. About Minho trapped. About the promise he couldn't keep. About holding his dying brother and watching the light leave his eyes. About how he'd forced himself to smile through the funeral, to show no weakness to his enemies. How that smile had frozen on his face, became a mask. Until the night a woman in a wedding dress made him laugh for real. I'm sorry, Amara whispered, tears in her eyes. Me too. Jihoon looked at her intensely. But you brought me back. You made me feel human again. Surviving isn't the same as living, Amara said softly. I know. You've been teaching me that every day. They stared at each other. The air changed, charged. Jihoon stood slowly, walked to her, knelt beside her chair. I need to tell you something. What? I'm falling in love with you. Actually, I think I've been falling since the moment you threatened me with an unloaded gun. Amara's breath caught. Jihoon. You don't have to say anything. I just needed you to know. This isn't about business. This isn't about protection. This is about you. The way you think. The way you fight. The way you make me want to be more than just shadows and strategy. Tears spilled down Amara's cheeks. I'm falling in love with you too, and it terrifies me. Why? Because I swore I'd never give anyone that kind of power over me again. I don't want power over you. I want to stand beside you, as equals. Always equals. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a small velvet box. What is that? Amara whispered. A question, not a contract, not a cage, just a question. He opened the box. Inside was a black diamond ring, stunning, unique, flawless. Amara Okonkwo, will you marry me? Not because families arranged it, not because of business, but because I love you, because you make me laugh, because together we're stronger than apart, because I want to spend every day learning how to be human again with you. Amara stared at the ring, at this dangerous man she'd met at gunpoint months ago, the man who'd protected her, believed in her, fallen in love with her, who saw her as an equal. Yes, she whispered. Yes, absolutely yes. 6 months later, Amara and Jihoon married. The ceremony was intimate. Sunset over Biscayne Bay. Only people who truly mattered. David Okonkwo walked his daughter down the aisle, tears streaming down his face. I'm so proud of you, he whispered in Xhosa, for being stronger than I ever was, for saving yourself. You helped save me, Papa. In the end, you chose right. Jihoon waited at the altar, actually smiling. When Amara reached him, he took her hands in his. You saved me, he whispered. You saved me first, she replied. They exchanged vows they'd written themselves. Jihoon, I promise to never cage you, to always see you as my equal, to laugh with you every single day, to be worthy of your trust. Amara, I promise to never run again, to build this life with you, to love you even when you're impossible, to remind you that you're human. They kissed as the sun set over Miami. At the reception, Jihoon's mother, who'd flown from Seoul, pulled Amara aside. Thank you, she said in Korean, tears in her eyes. For what, Eomeonim? Amara replied in careful Korean. The older woman smiled at hearing her language. For bringing my son back to life. After Minho died, I lost both my sons, One to death, one to ice. But you melted that ice. You brought him home. Amara hugged her. He brought me home too. That night, as they danced under string lights and stars, Amara looked around. Her father was there, laughing with Jihoon's mother through a translator. Jihoon's crew, dangerous men in expensive suits, danced with her university friends. Her brothers had flown in from Johannesburg. Everyone who mattered. A strange, beautiful mix of worlds. "What are you thinking?" Jihoon asked, holding her close. "That I ran away from a wedding and ended up at one anyway." He laughed, that sound she loved. "But this time you chose it. This time it's perfect." They danced under the Miami stars, the Shadow King and his brilliant queen. Two people who'd found freedom in the most unexpected place. Each other. Sometimes you have to run from your cage to find your crown. Sometimes the most dangerous man is the only one brave enough to see you as an equal. And sometimes, love finds you when you're holding a gun in a wedding dress, threatening the one person who can make you laugh again. This is a story about finding power in partnership, healing through love, and discovering that sometimes the most dangerous choice is also the right one.